Welcome, everyone. This is the Successful Stylist Academy podcast, where we are on a mission to empower salons and hairstylists to dream big, set goals, and take action. We are here to help you each step of the way at successfulstylistacademy.com. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to kick off this episode because it's a little outside the lines. We're actually going to be diving into a topic that is not specific to hairstylists, but is really going to be helpful to hairstylists. Really quickly, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Ambrosia Carey, and I'm the founder of Successful Stylist Academy and podcast. And I'm also a coach for hairstylists and salon owners alike. And I'm here to help you guys each step of the way with building up your business and strategizing. So today we're actually going to be welcoming a girlfriend of mine who I actually met at an event years ago. Please welcome my good girlfriend, Rochelle Damaskoff. I'm really excited to have her here today. She's the founder and head website strategist at 86 and Trend, helping online service providers scale their business through impactful web design. I can't wait for her to share some tips with you guys and just talk a little bit about strategizing using your website and why you actually need one. So everyone, please welcome Rochelle.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I watch your stories all the time, and I just see that you've got a lot going on. I mean, you're juggling a lot, and you're also going to really exotic places at different Airbnbs. So I'm super jealous, and I've got a list already going of places that you've gone. So
That's like how I feel like I've survived COVID. Like the last year and a half is like escaping to little like road trip Airbnb places around the Pacific Northwest.
man, I do not blame you. I mean, if I had a job like yours, I would definitely be taking advantage of that. So good on you for doing it and of just making the best of it. So for those of you who don't know Rochelle like I do, I want to hear the story as well, just the background and your corporate like upbringing and what made you kind of pull away from that. Just share your story as a web designer. What happened and how did you kind of break off on your own?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I feel like it's probably a similar story to a lot of people where you are kind of in what you think you should be doing. You're climbing the corporate ladder, you have the office with all the windows, you're making good money, you're like doing all the things that you think you should be doing, but you're so burnt out. And like I didn't even realize how burnt out I was until I was forced to step away. So to backtrack a little bit, so I'm originally from Canada, so Calgary, Alberta, and I yeah, was climbing the corporate ladder. I worked in oil and gas and did marketing and community investment there. Dabbled in some website design, but it was never like my main thing that I did. And I was doing all the things that I thought I should be doing and climbing the corporate ladder, and like everything from the outside looked really, really good. Um, and then my husband, we had gotten married in 2014, and he got a call for his job that there was a job opportunity for him in Pittsburgh, which was like new country, other side of the country, and we decided to take it. So I had to leave my corporate job, and it was such a wake up call for me. Like everything I did, I didn't even realize it, but everything I did was so attached to that job, that position. Like that was like everything I poured my time into. And then it was kind of all stripped away because I left, right? And so it was funny. I had a really hard time with identity for the first little bit. Like you don't realize it until you're not working or you don't sort of have something to fall back on. But the first question almost everybody asks you is, "Oh, and what do you do?" And I found myself like with this long story about what I used to do and how successful I used to be and why I'm here. And like nobody really cared. They were just making small talk. But yeah, it just showed me that I had a lot of my identity wrapped up in kind of the wrong things. So it was this wake up call to start something that like really inspired me, that allowed me to create my days the way I wanted, like have freedom in my schedule, travel if I wanted to, be creative. Like if any of your listeners are like hairstylists but also maybe working corporate jobs, like that creativity piece can kind of be stripped from you when you're working in a corporate environment. So yeah, so just had that creativity, and I just knew I wanted to create something different. And I had always sort of dabbled in website design. My mom is actually an interior designer, so I grew up being surrounded always by like beautiful things and just kind of that idea of creating beauty in wherever you are. So I kind of translated the interior design that I grew up with onto the web, and I just kind of went all in and I started my business, and there was lots of like just trying to figure it out for yourself. And it's been like 5 years now, and it's been awesome. It's like one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Wow. Well, I have to say, Rochelle, you're first of all, you're crushing it. Secondly, when I know what you mean when people ask you, like, oh, what do you do for a living? It's so funny because even in my industry, oftentimes when people ask, like, oh, what do you do for a living? And then, I say, oh, I'm a hairstylist. And sometimes the reaction in the room is kind of, it can vary, like, oh, kind of like, okay, almost like it hasn't been seen as being like a serious career. It's more like kind of that job that you have on your way to doing something else. And so you could have totally gone like Romy and Michelle. You could have been like, I invented Post-its or like,
Totally, totally.
just gone that route. But how crazy is it that because you were so to speak like pushed off the hamster's wheel and it was a little unexpected and it jolted you at first, how it forced you in some ways to be a little bit more creative. When we're put in a position where we kind of have to just figure things out from scratch and you get to let that creativity come forward, it kind of forces you into positions that it almost like creates more parts of your brain to allow yourself to be creative rather than doing this regimented structured thing that you had in your head. So you get to really be outside the box type of thing. So I'm so curious just because I didn't realize that your background wasn't in creating web design. You just started doing it and learning. Like that is amazing to me. So I would love to hear over the past 5 years as you've been developing this, what are some of the most common mistakes that you've been seeing that show up for those who have a website, or maybe they don't have a website, or maybe they don't update it? Like, what are some of the most common mistakes you see?
The Okay, that's a good question. And it's actually really simple. The most common mistakes I see, and the thing that is the quickest thing that can deter somebody from like continuing on, either like looking through even your Instagram, like your link in bio or your website, is broken links or links that don't work, or outdated material. Like if you had like a webinar, or you had a set of dates that were available for people to book and they're all booked up now, or it was like 2 weeks ago and you still have that up and you're still talking about that. Like everything is so current now with social media. You want your website to feel like that as well. And people are looking for that. So like as soon as you have that outdated information, you have that broken link, like you unfortunately lose your credibility right away. Like you want to make sure you're keeping that experience as amazing as possible for your potential client who's going to book with you. So it's like super easy. So just like make sure your links aren't broken, make sure that they're linking to the right URLs, and make sure you have like your most up-to-date information available.
Okay, I will say as a consumer, when I go on a website, if I'm going through that customer journey and I have to click through too many things, then I will get distracted and I'll hop off. Or if it takes me too long, then I'm like, oh, I'll visit it later. And then that later just never happens. So I'm really glad that you said that, because broken links, as soon as you run into one of them, it's a huge turnoff. And it's so weird because it's very impersonal that way, because it's like you don't get to have a personal attachment to this device. And so it's just too easy to jump off. And there's so many distractions anymore that it's like, I'm kind of curious, like human psychology behind it. I don't know if you know this or not, but like, the human psychology and just looking at something and having it not be accessible, like the turnaround time for that, how like the attention span is under a goldfish, like under three seconds or something. I'm curious what the attention span would be for an actual website. But anyway,
it is, I can tell you it's extremely short. And just from looking at a lot and spending a lot of time in Google Analytics, it is extremely short, and you lose people so quickly with those like anything that interrupts their experience like that. So, and it's not complicated. Like you just want to put yourself in their shoes and imagine going through whatever the process is that they're going through. Imagine going through it, and you just want it to be as seamless and smooth as possible. Because any little hiccup, honestly, yeah, it's so easy for people just to click out, and then they're on their Instagram and they're seeing the next thing and have completely forgotten about it. So
Yep. Just right back to scrolling again, going in that scroll hole.
yeah,
Actually,
always.
I'm really glad that you brought up the Google Analytics part, because that is the part that it's so confusing for me. Most people don't even know what SEO is. Most people don't understand what the importance of it is. So maybe just some useful advice from someone like you, just hearing like, what's the point behind it, and why do we need it, and how do we use it to optimize our visibility, and all of that stuff that we kind of need for our business.
Such a good question. And it's the number one question I get asked from potential clients and clients that I work with, because it can sound so scary and overwhelming. And it's, for the majority of people, it's not in their wheelhouse. But to break it down really simply, so SEO, or search engine optimization, is basically just how browsers, so like Google or Internet Explorer, whatever you use, is searching the web and searching your website to connect clients with answers. So like if you think of Google, you are always typing a question into Google. So Google is then giving you a list of options that are potential answers for that question. So like if you think of it in a very basic level like that, like basically you are trying to, with your website, provide answers to people so that when they're typing in the questions that they might type in related to your services, you could potentially be a website that comes up. Like Google could potentially look at your website and be like, oh, that's a really useful bit of information. Like I'll pop that up there, kind of thing. So that's what it is at a very base level. You can do so much with SEO, and it can be a very expensive route to go and to like work with an SEO agency. It can be very rewarding, but it can be, there's lots and lots of layers to it. So what I always tell people, and especially I feel like a lot of your listeners, is to start simple. So there's so many things you can do that are really, really base foundation things that you can put into place that so many websites don't have in place. So it's going to set you apart already. We actually have a blog post that you can link in the show notes, and it is a simple SEO guide, and it kind of goes through these in more detail. But basically it's things like, just like really simply, like understanding your keywords. So that goes back to what I was talking about, trying to find the answers for the people typing in the questions to Google. So your keywords are basically just the words that your clients could be using on Google to find your services. So if you're a hair salon, like what are people typing in? And it's probably location based. It's probably like looking for like a balayage, like, like what type of words are they using? Those are your keywords. Those are the words you want to start to incorporate on your website. The number one thing you can do is quality and consistent content. So not quantity, but quality, consistent content utilizing those keywords. So like, just try to talk about like what people are asking questions about, and try to give them answers that's, like really quality information, and show up on your website, like be consistent so that Google can see that, okay, you're a website that's actually running, like you're there, you're real, and just give people that quality, consistent content. And then there's a few other things that you can do as well, like alt tags for your images, naming some of your pages. So that's like the meta descriptions that would show up when you search your website on Google. Those are kind of the base things. So if you go to the blog post, which can be in the show notes, we sort of go through all of it, and we give you some really easy examples about how to implement that too.
Oh, okay. This is great. I like it. You guys heard it yourself. Rochelle told you it's all about the base. Okay. It's all about that base, I'm going to put this in the show notes. So for sure we'll have it in there. You guys can just like click in there, but just after this is over, click on it, check it out. You'll get more information through it. I feel like this is probably leading us right into like some of those top 5 tips. I always like to give you guys like some solid foundational tips that you can walk away with and you can just start using right away. So if we could piggyback off of that, I guess, what would your kind of top 5 tips for how to instantly make your website more user-friendly?
Yeah. So I'll backtrack just like one step, just because I know I've worked, a lot of my clients have been hairstylists or hair salons. And I know so many of my previous clients have had really successful Instagram accounts and haven't necessarily utilized a website or had a website in place. So one of my tips would be to get a website. Your website is truly your only place that you can fully curate how your client moves through the experience with you, like from brand to offers, like fully understanding who you are, what you do, who you serve. And like, yes, you can do that with Instagram, but not to the same degree. Like if somebody's coming to your profile on Instagram, they can see what you do. And if you have like your highlights really organized, and you have like, maybe you're using like the guides on Instagram and like you have it set up really well, it still takes a little bit for people to navigate and really figure out, okay, who you are, who you serve, what you do. Your website is that place that you can fully curate that and give them that experience. And the majority of people still, the first thing they do when they're looking for a new salon or a new hairstylist, like they go check out their Instagram page and they go check out that website to see like what their offers are, what their services are, a little bit about them. So it's a really, really important piece to have in addition to your Instagram. Okay. And then, so once you have that website, a few things you can do to really enhance it and make it more user-friendly. So the number one thing we always talk about at 86 and Trend, which is the agency that I own, is experience. So you want to give your clients an experience, and that's through everything. That's on your Instagram profile.
Absolutely.
That's everywhere. Like that's in the salon. Like you want to give them an experience
in life. I just
in life. You want to give them an experience
in all parts of life.
Totally.
Yes.
And so your website, like that is truly going to set you apart. If you have a website that gives your client that experience, because like customer service for sure is so important to you. Like your listeners, like I know, like all of you guys, like customer service is super, super important. So to be able to weave that through your website and to have people feel that coming to your website is like, check without you having to be there, like facilitating all the questions, like asking the, like, like explaining all the things you do, your prices, like, going back and forth about when you can book them in. Like it can all be there perfectly curated with an amazing experience where clients are like, yes, like I feel like I know her, I get her, I can like do everything I need to on this website, like check, I'm in. So having that set up is like, it's like having an employee in your back pocket almost. Like it truly makes your life easier if you have your website set up to work for you. So that's like the first thing is like focus on experience. And then getting like a little bit more tactical, I guess. Your above the fold is really, really important. So your above the fold, if you don't know, is the area that you see when you come to your homepage or to a homepage before you start scrolling. So before you start moving, it's like what you see right there. And so that is like prime real estate. So you want to convey who you are, what you do, and provide some sort of call to action. So that could be like a schedule with you. It could even be like, if it's not a button to actually schedule, it could be a button to like more details about your services, but a call to action to move them somewhere else on the website. So like before they scroll anywhere on your website, they see all of this and they're making that split decision that like, yes, they want to stay on this page and see more about like what you have to offer. So the above the fold is very important. Focus. So the next tactical piece is focusing on how clients move through your site. So this kind of goes hand in hand with creating an experience for your clients, but making sure you have a lot of call to actions on your site. So like, understanding the primary goal of your site. If the primary goal of your site is to get people to schedule and book with you, you better have that call to action throughout your site in multiple places so that your client is never feeling stuck, like anywhere on their site, on your site. They don't have to like scroll all the way back up to find that button to schedule with you. Like, it's going back to putting yourself in their shoes and understanding that experience and making it as seamless as possible. So focus on how they move through your site. And then the last tip I'll share with you guys, which I kind of touched on already, is utilizing your integrations. So this is going to make a better experience for your client, and it's going to make a better experience for you because it's going to make your life so much easier. So integrations could be anything from like a scheduler, like if you use like Acuity or something like that, or if your salon has a scheduler booking system. It could be like a newsletter for sure with like free opt-ins. It could even be like an in-depth intake form if you need some more information from people, like you're always asking certain questions. And then maybe that intake form moves into a bit of a workflow where they get like an automatic email from you, like things like that. You can really take advantage of on your website, and it makes it so nice for the client because they feel fully supported and taken care of. And then two, it makes your life so much easier because things are working for you, which is like everybody wants that, right?
Oh man, we all want a little bit of automation in our lives just to make it more
God.
seamless because we're already tethered to our devices. I mean, heck, I will know, I can say firsthand that being a hairstylist and salon owner, the fact that I'm tethered to my device as much as I am and I'm not independent, I can only imagine what all you guys as listeners are dealing with on a daily basis. So, I mean, we've got clients that are coming out from all different directions trying to get a hold of us on so many different platforms, let alone through personal messaging. And then we've got this whole separate issue of boundaries and stuff like that. So being able to refer people back to a website where they can just start going through that journey can make a huge, huge difference. So thank you for that. I love those top 5 tips. I think that's such a great foundational start, and just understanding the purpose of having it, why, and just even getting started. So if I went back to like the very first step where you're saying just get a website, which is a really great piece of advice to start with, where would you actually guide people? Like, where do you feel is the best place to start building that website? Because there's so many options out there.
There's so many options out there. And luckily, there's so many user-friendly options now that like make it super easy to put your website together and really easy to have like a beautiful website as well. So it really depends on what your main focus is for your website. So we actually have a blog post about this too, which we can put in the show notes, but it goes through the main different platforms and kind of compares them and sort of draws out like you should be using Shopify if you're doing this kind of thing. So if your listeners have any questions, they can go to that blog post and kind of try to find themselves in one of those platforms. But in general, our favorite platform and the one that I recommend the most is Showit. It's the most user-friendly in terms of design, and you can do everything with it. Squarespace is also really great. Like, they have come so far. It's like funny to say that because they're a really big company, but they're doing really good. They have some cool things where they have like a membership portal that they're starting to launch that's been kind of out there for a little bit. So if that's like a piece of, where you want to go in the future, if you want to offer some sort of membership or some sort of community, so it's really understanding kind of what purpose you want your website to serve. So like the main things to kind of keep in mind, like, okay, so are you going to just be wanting clients to book? Because you can do that with a lot of platforms, and I would recommend Showit. If you want to sell products in addition, like if you have any physical products or even digital products, physical products, Shopify is definitely the way to go. Physical products, yeah, Shopify. Digital products, definitely Squarespace. You can also do that with Showit though. It's just really understanding like, okay, what are the top things I want this website to do? And then being able to choose from there. So if you go to the blog post, we list everything that you need to know in each platform. We also have, which might be helpful to some of your listeners, we do web audits, which are a 60-minute one-on-one call with me, where if you have questions, like if you maybe you're just starting your website, or you have a website, but you don't feel like it's actually working for you, we can sit down and we actually go through your website or go through what you don't have. And we set a roadmap for you of next steps of what you should be doing. And we guide you in like, hey, what platform you should be on, what's, like any questions you have, we kind of dive into all of that. So if anybody wants kind of a more personalized approach, that's definitely a great option too.
That's so smart, because I think a lot of people, they're either really good at, number one, starting it and then not getting all the way through. just saying, based on the people I talk to, on my end of things, for being a hairstylist and a salon owner and just coaching other hairstylists, or there's like a failure to launch type of thing. Like they know the things they want in there, but they're not exactly sure how to get started. They can feel overwhelmed. It's really easy to just get lost in the trenches. And then all of a sudden we just get busy doing other things, especially since we have a job that holds a place where we have to have our hands and our eyes in one spot. So we can't really take the time away to do it. So it's nice knowing that you even offer that as an option. So sounds great. I love it. So we're going to have lots of homework for you guys when we get off of here. You can visit the show notes and you'll see both of those links in there so that you can kind of get started with it. I do have one last question before we close this down, because in the very beginning, you were kind of talking about this, like quality and consistency. And I wrote that down actually. How often would you say updating your website and being active with it would you advise people to do?
So that's a really good question. And I would say, okay, so there's two avenues sort of with this. So you could have the easiest way to provide quality, consistent content is to have a blog. So if you have a blog, like you can easily create quality, consistent content. And a lot of people say like blogging is dead, and it's really not. Like, it's just like the way you are utilizing it. So it's maybe not like the long blog posts that, everybody used to do, and you would sit there and like read through the entire blog post. People don't really do that anymore. But it's maybe adding like one of your like TikTok videos into your blog, or like from Instagram, like if you're doing like reels and stuff like that, adding that into your blog, and then writing a bit of a blog post that incorporates some of those keywords for you, that's going to help you with your SEO for your website. And it also, the other thing about a blog that's really, really nice is that it establishes yourself as the expert. So like when people go to your website, they can see your blog and they can see all these like this amazing content that you're providing. And right away they're like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. They're an expert in their field. If you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to do a blog, like that sounds like so much work and not my thing, I would recommend really focusing on repurposing your content. So understanding like you are probably with your Instagram feed, like I said, doing reels, you're probably writing out even really good posts like in your feed. Focus on that and repurpose that for blog posts, and focus on your blog posts not as kind of like, I don't know, come and go posts, like weekly, like, oh, today I was doing this, but like more like the educational foundational pieces that you'd want to sort of have live on your site. So repurpose that, like the stuff you're already creating, just repurpose that. And then even like for a newsletter, if you don't have like a newsletter, you should have a newsletter, or at least be creating a email list. And if you're going to be sending out anything to that list, like don't recreate the wheel, like literally just repurpose the content that you are posting already on Instagram, then it's on your blog, then putting it out on your newsletter, like just repurposing that. People are not going to get annoyed by you. Like even repurposing it on all those platforms, like they still might miss it. People are inundated with so much information. So like keep it out there, and it is just going to help you with your SEO too.
Attention of a goldfish, guys. Keep that in mind. You heard
Seriously.
it.
Yeah.
Rochelle told you, like, and it's so true, because even if you put something out with one platform, it doesn't mean that people are going to see it We're not all in the same place at the same time. And sometimes we'll see something and we mean to see it later. And so love this advice. I think it's so wonderful that you're kind of walking us through. I mean, you gave me a lot of ideas. Me personally, you gave me a lot of ideas. So I know for those of you listening, you're probably getting a lot of value out of this. And I feel like I just have more questions. It's like the more you tell me, the more questions come up. So I know for a fact, I mean, I want to hear from you guys too, because I'm sure these type of questions are going to come up for you as well. So I'm sure I'm going to have to pester you about coming on some other time in the future. But for now, I would love for you to share a little bit about where everyone can find you and just what's coming up for you. What's next?
Yeah. The best place to find me is Instagram. So it's 86th and Trend. We have our web audits, like if you guys are feeling overwhelmed at all and you really want to go down this path, like this is something that you're like, yeah, I need to get my website up and running. You can book our web audits. There's a link in our bio on our Instagram. And like, that is the best place to start. Like we can dive in deep and like, I can answer all of the questions you have. And you literally walk away with a roadmap that you can either take away and implement yourself and go with, or you can choose to work with us if that's something you want to do. But that's definitely a great place to start. And then we have two sort of tracks or ways to work with us. We have the Done With You track, which is it's your website at your pace. So it's a course and we teach you exactly step by step how to customize your website yourself. So you can have a beautiful strategic website without the custom price. So we're really excited about that. So that's launching. You get access to like all of our strategy, all of our processes, everything. And then if that's not for you, we have the Done For You track, which is like, you are busy and you want us to do everything. We will launch your website in 4 weeks. And so we have that track as well to fully support you.
Give us all the tracks. We need the tracks. But this is awesome because by the time everyone's hearing this, then it will have launched and it's going to be available. So all you guys have to do is just tap on the button, get started, and you can do the Done With You or Done For You. I am more the personal Done For You person. Trust me, after I tried to do it for myself, I have learned the hard way. I spent a lot of time and a lot of hours and effort in doing something that I'm like, well, wait a minute here. If I'm giving advice to clients on not doing the hair care at home and not going to the store and just picking up one color and putting it on their head, we all know this. We know that that's not just something you should be doing. And it's for a very, very, very small group of people that they can get away with if you don't want level 2A black hair. So we need to remember that if we're giving that kind of advice, we know the value of what we offer. We need to do the same. We need to put our money where our mouth is, and we need to make sure that we are putting that in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing. So huge value tonight. Thank you so much. Tonight, whatever time of day you guys are listening to this, thank you so much, Rochelle, for just being here and giving us all this advice. I'm definitely linking all the stuff into the show notes. I'm going to go so far as to say, I want to have you come back. So take care, everyone. And I can't wait to see you guys next week for episode number 18. We're going to be having Megan Irwin, and she's going to be talking about mental health in the workplace. So we're going down the therapist side now, guys. So now we've got all kinds of stuff to help us with our business. And thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next week.